This presentation will be a new topic. It will be arches. In the module 5 you have two components which are arches and suspension cables. These two are opposite structurally behaving components, and let us see one by one. In this class we will discuss the introduction regarding types of arches, what are the structural detailing components, and how we could be solving the problem. Finally, regarding the analysis part, so what are the requirements, how the arches behave internally with respective to the forces, and what is the difference between a beam and arch. So let us discuss all these things in today's session. Yes, let us straight away go into the session. The types of arches. Arches are according to support conditions and according to the shapes, according to the material. They have been classified, and let us see one by one. And according to the support condition, this is structural support condition. We know that the support conditions are roller support, hinged support and fixed support. So these are the three types of support. Roller support have one number of reaction, hinged support have two number of reaction, and fixed support have three number of reaction. Similarly, if you have arches which are hinged at two ends, so this is a hinged end and the other arch end is also hinged. So if both the ends are hinged, then it is known to be as two hinged arch. And if you have two number of hinges, and additionally if you have another hinge at the crown, so this is technically known as a crown. So at the crown, so this component is known as a crown, and if you have any hinges, that is a mechanical hinge which is purposely introduced in order to reduce the reaction of the structure, then it is known as the three hinged arch. And the next type is a fixed arch. You can see the fixed arch and two hinged arch are a similar type, and you can interpolate this. So you can have one end fixed, other end hinged. So like that, according to the requirement, you can make different types of arches by these combination. And in our syllabus, we have three hinged arch. So three hinged arch is named as statically determinate structure. So you have two number of reaction here, that is in a hinged support you have two number of reaction, that is vertical and horizontal. Same way you will be having two number of reactions, so it will be vertical and horizontal here. Additionally, if you introduce a hinge, what will happen? So this support have two number of reaction, that is vertical and horizontal, and at the other end you will be having a roller support. So this half becomes a structure and the other half becomes another structure. So it is a connected arch. So an arch is being connected with a hinge. So this hinge acts as a roller, and if you take the left half, you will be having three number of reactions, and at the right half you will be having three number of reactions. So this is why the case the three hinged arch is known as the statically determinate structure, and two hinged arch is a statically indeterminate structure. Why? Because it will be having more than three number of support reaction. So at the support A, say for example, it will be having two number of reaction. At the support B, you will be having two number of reaction. So totally you will be having four number of reaction. If you want to find the indeterminacy, 4 minus 3. So 3 is number of equations, equilibrium equation available, and it will be 1. So two hinged arch will be 1 degree of indeterminacy, and fixed arch will be 3 degree of indeterminacy. So you will be having 3 number of support reaction at one support. If you multiply by 2, you will have 6 number of support. So 6 minus 3 will be 3. So two hinged and fixed arch are statically indeterminate arches, and three hinged arch is a statically determinate arch. So that is why this three hinged arch is being included in your syllabus. While looking into the types of arch, let us understand the components. The center to center distance between the two arches, which is in horizontal, is taken as the span, and this angle is known as the springing line. This springing line can be horizontal or it can be inclined according to the requirement. The top portion, which is known as the crown. So this is the highest point, of an arch when comparing to its level, and the rise may differ. At the crown it will be having the maximum height, that is maximum rise, and at each and every distance from the support you will be having different number of height. So according to the type of arches it differs. So it can be a parabolic arch, it can be a circular arch, so the rise differs. So anyway, the crown will be the highest point in any of the geometry. When you join these two support between a horizontal line, and from that horizontal line, so each and every vertical distance to its axis. So you have a component here. So this component axis is being drawn. So when we are analyzing, we will be taking only this axis. So we will be drawing only a line here. So this line represents the axis. Hence, while analyzing, we will be not taking all the components, we will be just drawing a line. So this line represents the arch. Before going to the further types, let us know certain basic things about arch, and let us start the continuation of types of arch. And this is a structure which is composed of curvilinear member. So your beam will be a horizontal member and a column will be a vertical member. So before this module, you have dealt two types of structure, that is frames and a truss. In frame, you will be having beams which are horizontal and column which are vertical. So these members are a straight line. It may be 0 degree angle or 90-degree angle. In case of truss, you might have a combination of 0 degree, 90 degree, and at any angle you might have. So the truss also a member which is connected by a straight line, that is each and every individual component which are straight. So their axis will also be a straight. And what happens in case of arc, you will be having a curvilinear member. So this is what I have explained earlier. So the axis which are curved, so and due to its shape, the internal force is different when you compare in case of frames and trusses. In truss you will be having axial force, it may be tension or compression, and in beam you will be having shear force and bending moment. These are the major parts. Now in case of arch you will be having some additional forces. Yes, let us discuss that. And in case of beam, supporting uniformly distributed load, the maximum bending moment increases with square of the span. So we know that to find bending moment, the simply supported beam carries a uniformly distributed load, then the bending moment formula is WL square by 8. Now you can note that the bending moment equals L square times, that is, if your span increases, the bending moment increases in a square time. So hence the bending moment is high. If the bending moment is high, then you have to increase more material and in depth in order to safeguard the structure, and it becomes uneconomical in case of long span. So if the section is small, that is less than 10 meter or 15 meter, it is okay. But in case of more than 30 meter, what happens? Due to the bending moment, the material is being wasted. So in order to reduce this wastage of components, we will be using a different component which is known as arch. So instead of a straight member, if you include a curvilinear member, it has a structural advantage as well as the economical advantage, and they are used for large span structures such as airplane hangars. The hangars are where the aeroplanes are built. These hangars require large openings. So at this area you can see arch type of structure. So it will be having much ventilation and air circulation. And long span bridges. So you can see these arches in long span bridges. An arch is a development of horizontal thrust at the support as well as the vertical reaction. So what is the unique point of arches? It creates a horizontal thrust at the support. So what happens? This support have a horizontal reaction at both the ends. So when you apply any load at the crown or at any place, what happens naturally, the arch tends to expand the support. When you increase the force in an arch, so this support tries to expand. In order to reduce that expansion, this support offers a resistance at the support. So this resistance is called horizontal thrust. So at both the support, you will be having a horizontal thrust, that is horizontal resistance. So this resistance is not only acting at the support, it acts at each and every section. So what happens? It reduces the bending moment. So it acts as the counter for the bending moment. So if there is any load here, you will be taking bending moment as load into distance. You might have 100 bending moment, and what happens? In the same structure, you will be having a thrust due to this action, and there will be some amount of bending moment which is being reduced. That is, it might be minus 25, and 100 minus 25 will be 75. So you have to design your structure for the net 75 kilonewton force. So this is the advantage. And the internal force at any section in arc include axial compression. So this is the highlightable word. Arch always carries a axial compressive force, and cables always carries a axial tensile force, and along with shear force and bending moment. So in a beam you will be having shear force and bending moment, but in case of arch you will be having an axial compressive force in addition to that. So what is the advantage of having this axial compressive force is, you know that if any beam is being loaded, bottom of the beam you will be having a tensile force, and at the top you will be having a compressive force. But in case of arch, the bottom part is compression. So the bottom part takes the compressive force, and what happens, due to the load there will be a tensile force in the bottom. So this tension and compression force combination reduces the bending moment. If you place a beam in horizontal and if you apply any force, naturally the bottom of the beam will be having tension and top of the beam you will be having compression. But the arches, what you are making, the bottom portion as a compressive member, and automatically it reduces the net bending moment. And what happens? The bending moment and shear force at such section of an arch are comparatively smaller than those of the beam. So it not only reduces the bending moment, also reduces the shear force, and the normal thrust significantly reduces the moment and shear force. So who is reducing the bending moment and shear forces? This axial compression. So this axial compression, in other words, is known as the normal thrust. So thrust is a force, and so this axial compression is also known as horizontal thrust. So this thrust reduces the bending moment and shear force significantly, and it reduces the member side, and due to this you can achieve a economical design. Also, the arches are aesthetically more pleasant than more structures. Now let us continue the types of arch. So according to the shape, in previous component we have discussed arches according to the support. So now the arches according to the shape. This is a natural arch which is created by the environment, and you can see the arch might be at different shape. Each and every arch which is being man-made or natural made, it might be in different shape. So according to the shape, the arch varies, and the force action also varies. Generally, man-made arches are circular or curved or segmental type arch. So a circular is, you will be having the same radius throughout the half of the section. So then it is known as the circular arch, and it might be curved. So other than circular arch, you might have this curved arch, and some arch might be segmental. So segmental is connecting the arch by different number of small elements. So you can see a two number of elements are required to connect the arch here. So this is known as segmental arch. Here you can observe that this arch is circular and segmental. So not only a single arch, an arch can be one classification, arch might have combination of classification. So these natural arches are fixed end. So there will be no movement at the support condition. This is a curved fixed arch. So you might have two or three combination of the types. So you can see the segment might be at different types. So according to the aesthetic and appearance, so you can make your arch into different segments. So this is known as segmental arch, and it can be parabolic, elliptic, and polygonal arch. And according to the basis of material, if your bridge is being constructed by using steel members, then it is known as the steel arch. And if it is being made by reinforced concrete material, and it is known as the concrete arch. Here is an example of precast arch which is made in concrete material, and you can see a three hinged arch which is built here. At central point you can observe a hinge here at the crown. What happens? This structure becomes a determinate structure. So in order to analyze easily, we can have this hinge. And also for the steel structure, you can see a hinge here, and this is a road bridge, and this is a water bridge. Material might be brick or stone. Many of the monuments have the masonry arches. Therefore, they are made up of stone material and they are being connected. So you can see the crown here, and each and every material is being connected. So they are being segmented. Another thing is according to their space between the loaded area and the rib arches. There are two types. One is open arch and closed arch. So this is known as the closed arch, where you will be not having the viability to move inside, and the open arch you can see anywhere in the veranda, and these are the next two types of arches. So you can see this arch is fixed at the ends, and it is not a single member, it is segmented. So this is a fixed, segmental, and masonry arch. So you can see the number of tags is being added to a arch. So these are the technical specification in civil engineering point of view. You can see this is not a segmental arch, this is a single material, and this might be a stone, and its ends are being fixed here. Okay, these are the surface level information. Now let us dive into the analysis topic. And what are the things which are inside the arch when there is an external force? So far you have seen this is known as arch, and what are the types of arch. When an external force is acting in that arch, so say for example this arch carries the load above, which are the stone masonry. So above this arch, this load has to be transferred by the arch. So now how much of force is being transferred by this arch, and what is the internal behavior of the arch? Let us identify. So henceforth we will be not seeing this kind of structure, we will be only seeing the center line diagram. So this is a center line, you can see this is a three hinged arch. So during an analysis, if a point load is applied at anywhere between the section, what happens? Due to the load, you will be having reactions. Hence it is hinged, you will be having two number of reaction at each force. The arch member have different types of force, which is indicated in the figure C. So a single load is acting at the support, you have two number of reaction, and in between the member you have the three number of force, that is normal thrust, which is written here, that is NQ, and radial shear, that is the shear force, which is written in terms of V, which is acting at perpendicular to the line of action, and a moment. So these are the three forces which will be acting throughout the arch member. So for all the three number of forces, this is the formula to find the normal thrust and radial shear and the moment. So these three forces can be identified by using these three formula. And you can see an arch carries the support reaction as well as the member force. So you have to identify the RA, that is reaction at vertical, and horizontal reaction, that is V and H. Also the three components, that is normal thrust, radial shear and a moment. So also at the crown you will be having the same reaction, that is you will be having two number of reaction here and you will be having one number of reaction at the crown. And while analyzing a three hinged arch, the same thing which is being highlighted here, and if any force is acting at each and every point, you will be having a vertical distance. So how to find this vertical distance? At the crown you might be having the maximum distance. For each and every point, if you need to take bending moment, you should know load into the perpendicular distance. So for this P, what will be the horizontal as well as the vertical distance? So you can find by using this formula. If you want to find Y, you have to use this formula, that is 4h by L square into x into L minus x, where L is the total length of the span. So the horizontal length between A and B is known as the L, that is the capital L, and H here is the distance from the crown to the imaginary line, so which is drawn between A and B, where the point touches the crown, and this imaginary line which is taken as the H, and H is taken at the crown. X is the distance. So at what point you need the vertical distance, that is vertical segment. If you need the vertical segment at the crown, you can take x as L by 2. So this will be the total distance. So the crown will be acting at center of the arch, and you can take this as L by 2. And at L by 2, what will be the vertical distance you can find? And x we have discussed, and the remaining things are known. So in order to find y, you need three components. What are they? DH, that is what is the distance between the crown and the horizontal axis, and second thing is what is the span between A and B, and third thing is what is the distance. So by using these three components, you might be able to find the y for any parabolic arch. So if you need to find theta, you will be getting a triangle, that is at the center point. If you draw a straight line, and you will be knowing the y component, and if you have a triangle, you can find the theta, that differentiate with respect to x, and if you differentiate, what happens? L into x. If you multiply this inside, you will be getting L into x and x square. If you differentiate with respect to x, you will be getting L, and x square will become 2x. So what is dy by dx? That is tan, that is a small horizontal and vertical distance. So this is the slope which I already highlighted, that is horizontal and vertical distance. So you will, if you need theta, you can use tan theta x, that is tan theta x equal to 4h by L square. Instead of x into L minus x, you can use L minus 2x, and if you use this formula, you will be getting the angle of this triangle. So whatever might be your distance, you can find the angle. If you want to find the normal thrust, that is T, so you will be having a force which is inside at each and every distance. You will be having this normal thrust, and in order to find the thrust force T, you should know H, that is the horizontal force, that is horizontal reaction, and the vertical reaction. You should know H and V, also the theta. So you will be finding theta here, the same theta. If you know this component, you can find normal thrust and radial shear. If you want to find the Q component, that is radial shear, you can find by using VA and the same H component and the theta. So if you have this component, three values, you might be able to find Q here and also the M. VA into X minus H into Y. So if you need moment at a point of X, so you can take VA into X minus H into Y. So this component, that is minus H into Y, reduces the bending moment. If this is a straight line and if it is a straight beam, which is having a point load, what will be your bending moment? You will be having VA into X. So what is the counter action? So this counter action is being created by the horizontal support reaction. So this reduces your bending moment, and this is why you are getting less number of bending moment and less number of shear force. So technically we have discussed here. And if your arch is circular, you can use different formula in order to find the radius. So the radius for a circular arch will be common. So you can use 1 by h L square by 4 plus h square. So where h is the distance between this imaginary horizontal line with the hinge. So that is at the crown. So this is the h and the L. L is the total span of the arch. So if you know these two components, you can find the radius of the arch. Or else you can use L by 2 into L by 2 equal to R 2R minus H. So both the formula we can use in order to find the radius of the arch. You can use R square equal to X square plus R minus H minus Y, the whole square. You can use this formula where you can use X equal to R sin alpha and Y equal to R cos alpha minus R cos beta, and this is the alpha and beta value. Okay. These are the structural behavior between beam and arch. So which I have expressed earlier. You can see this is a simply supported beam. You will be having a reaction. If a point load which is acting, you will be having reaction as P by 2 and P by 2. And if you need the bending moment, so the bending moment will be P by 2 into X. So at this point you will be having the bending moment like this. And if there is an arch here, if you make the same material into an arch shape, what happens? You will be getting the reaction. That is, if this is P, you will be getting P by 2 and P by 2 when it is equally distributed, when it is symmetry. And if you take moment, you will be getting P by 2 into X minus H into Y. So this Y is the distance which we have discussed earlier. And what happens? You got a reduction of the bending moment here, that is M. So bending moment at M, which will be significant. According to the horizontal force and the Y segment, you will be having the reduction of bending moment. And by using this concept, we can solve number of problems in statically determinate structure. So in the upcoming classes, we will be taking 3 hinged arch. It might be a parabolic arch or it might be a circular arch. So we will be using this concept in order to find the reaction. How the analysis works. During the tutorial session, we will be getting the quantification, and the level of understanding will be there when you quantify certain things. So we can only say theoretically that is this is large, this is less, and you have a reduction of bending moment, you have an advantage. But as an engineer, you have to check by yourself. If you analyze and if you check, you will be knowing the most economical section. You will be becoming an engineer when you solve number of problems and numerical problems, and when you understand the concept and when you know the ratio. And the tutorial session will help on those aspects. So it helps you to become an engineer. So this theoretical work and this theoretical session will help you to solve those tutorial sessions. And I hope you enjoyed this session. Useful. Happy learning. See you again.